you're gonna break into. Every time I call your Love, that man's got a heart of gold. The angels above, they done broke the mold. There's on that man, my heart skip a beat. Gives me the vapors, got me weak in the knees. Lord,
Talking Boxing with Billy C. It began as a podcast, went live on the net, and transformed into a full-blown empire. Across the web, on Fight Now TV, and on radio stations around the world. It's the only daily boxing talk radio show on the planet, hosted by the only guy with the balls to do it. Many have stepped into the ring. Many have tried to take the belt. And one by one, they've fallen. Another victim of the undisputed heavyweight champion of boxing talk radio. Talking Boxing with Billy C is on now.
My style is impetuous, my defense is impregnable, and I'm just ferocious. I want your heart.
And we're coming to you live from the Billy C studio in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Caligiero. It's time for Talking Boxing with Billy C. Good morning, good day, good evening, whenever you're listening. Hope you're doing all right. We got a busy show scheduled for today. And the rest of the week, one more day. But first, the show's being brought to you in part by Campanaro and Tomkovich. If you're looking for a lawyer, use the ones to keep my ass out of trouble. That is Campanaro and Tomkovich. Give them a call today, 845-221-4099. 845-221-4099. Tell Campanaro and Tomkovich when you call that I'm going to pick up the consultation fee. That's right. You won't have to pay a penny. Hey, let Campanaro and Tomkovich knock out your legal problem. 845-221-4099. The show's also being brought to you in part by Turning Stone Resort and Casino in Verona, New York. Big show happening on June 7th. You know, that is the weekend of the International Boxing Hall of Fame. And Turning Stone's got a great show. It's going to be on Showtime and everything else. I suggest you get some tickets right now. And you can get them easy by visiting our website, www.BillyCBoxing.com, and click on the fight poster, which is right up on the top right part of the page. Can't miss it. Click it. Get some seats. And drop me an email at billy@talkinboxing, TalkinBoxing.com. Tell me where you're sitting, and I'll tell you how we can hook up, because I'm going to be ringside. That's right. Alex Papali is going to be joining me as well. So Alex and I think Dax is going to be there, and there's going to be a lot of people from the show at the Turning Stone, so we want to see you there. And if you're going to be up at the Hall of Fame, make sure you stop by the Sausage and Pepper tent, which you'll see me there. Friday, right around lunchtime. Yeah, right around time for me to stuff my face with a sausage and pepper sandwich from Carmen Basilio's sausage and pepper tent. I'll be there, so make sure you show up there. But anyway, before we get started, we got a brand new poll question. Now, I'll give you the results of last week's poll question. The question was, should Mayweather or Canelo give in? Now, what I mean by that is about the weight. You know, we've been hearing all kinds of reports about the fight is already in negotiations, and there's some stumbling blocks concerning the weight. And word is that Floyd Mayweather Jr. wants Saul Alvarez to come down to 147. Alvarez says no way. There's other reports that say that Floyd is not even worried about the weight. And there's other reports that saying they're not even negotiating. So who the hell knows what's going on? But our poll question was, who should give in? Well, overwhelming percentage of you feel that Floyd Mayweather Jr. should give in. 62.5%, as a matter of fact, versus 37.5% for Saul Alvarez. So thanks for casting your vote. We got a new one up there, just put up. It's still wet up there. So if you want to be one of the first people to cast your vote, do so by visiting the website, www.BillyCBoxing.com. Now, you do have to have a username and password. It takes about 1 minute, less than 1 minute total, for you to pick a username, create a password, and have the confirmation emailed to you. Does not cost you anything. It doesn't hurt anything. As a matter of fact, it helps you get into the chat room because if you log in with that same ID, you will never get booted out. Well, maybe if you don't say anything for 40 minutes. But this week's new poll question is, who would you rather see fight Mayweather next? And there's 4 choices there. Cast your vote. Who would you rather see Mayweather fight next? There's 4 choices there. So let me know or let us know who you want to see, and cast your vote. We'll give those results sometime next week. So don't forget about becoming a premium podcast subscriber. We want you to become a premium podcast subscriber. Hey, listen, man, not only will you secure all of our content, even if we have some video problems or if streaming issues or whatever, you will never miss a show again if you become a premium podcast subscriber, because all of our stuff goes to the premium podcast subscribers. Plus, you get a lot of specials that are not available anywhere else. So you could do that. Now, here's the thing. If you already are happy watching through Fight Now TV, or if you're watching the replay on LDL TV, or if you're listening on a radio dial, or watching a YouTube replay, or whatever, then support our show by becoming a premium podcast subscriber. It's only $15 a year, and we could use it. And if you like the show and you want to keep it going the way it is, we need you. So visit the website, www.BillyCBoxing.com, and there's a banner that says Billy C Premium. Click that. I wanted to make sure you guys know that we will, in fact, be going to the PM time slot very quickly. As a matter of fact, June 3rd, Monday, June 3rd, will be our initial full-time change of time for the broadcast. We will be doing from 5 to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. So 5 to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, beginning June 3rd, Monday. So hopefully a lot of you guys that watch the replays and stuff will be able to watch the show live, which we're going to have phone lines open and stuff. We're anticipating a lot more activity with interaction. And speaking of interaction, the Talk to Me Man show, I've been getting a ton of emails asking me when that's coming back and everything else. It never really left. I mean, we got into doing a special week-long fight preview for the Mayweather and Robert the Ghost Guerrero fight. And then we started playing around with some updates. We have some really cool video enhancements for the Talk to Me Man show that hopefully we will migrate into this show. And we had to finish some testing, which we did yesterday. So the Talk to Me Man show will be back better than ever on Monday. And as you know, that showtime will not change. That's 1 p.m. Eastern time. But I may have some other good news for you, so stay tuned about that. about the Talk to Me Man show, but we open up the phone lines. We have the chat room comments. Basically, you drive that show. So Talk to Me Man returns this Monday. Even though it's a holiday weekend, we will be here doing the show. So hopefully you guys, when you're out barbecuing and setting off fireworks, blowing your hands off. I know it's on 4th of July, but still people do it even for Memorial Day. Hey, tune in the show. We will be taking your calls, and I'd love to get some calls from people that are having some fun with a barbecue Monday at 1 o'clock. Hey, another thing I wanted to give you guys a heads up on is that, I want you to make sure that you look into this. Really goes out to all the old listeners, all the long-time Billy C listeners. I'm giving away some special stuff. I'm giving away a T-shirt from, I believe it's KOFantasyBoxing.com. And if you can tell me who Cecil was. If you've been listening to the show for a long time, I'm sure you remember one of our characters, Cecil. And if you could tell us who Cecil was, then I'm going to send you a shirt. So, I'm really, I'm a little disappointed that one of you guys hasn't come back so quickly, because I get emails all the time about some of the old shows and, why don't you do this again? And, that used to be great and everything else. Well, a lot of it was all about Jeremy, when Jeremy was in the studio doing the production and stuff. And that may be coming back soon, too. So keep your fingers crossed on that. But who was Cecil? If you know who Cecil was, drop me an email, Billy@TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com. Coming up in a little bit, we got Dax Khan. He's going to be joining us in about a little less than an hour. We got a couple of emails to read. I also have some news that I want to talk about. A lot of news, as a matter of fact. We got some comments, a lot of... basically, how do you say, pissing back and forth between Golden Boy and Frank Warren, all concerning a guy who I think is an absolute fraud in Deontay Wilder. So we'll be talking about that. Carl Froch and Mikael Kessler, that fight's getting closer and closer, and some comments are being made by both the fighters. And also, Andre Ward, he put his pick in. He's going to be doing the HBO commentating for that. A lot of rumors. I got some emails. We got some posts about Antonio Margarito making a return. Well, I hate to burst everybody's bubble, but according to Antonio Margarito, that's not happening. But there's some interesting other stuff that I wanted to talk about. So we're going to talk about that. Oleg Moskaev, a guy who had retired from boxing, came back a couple of times. In one of his comebacks, I actually promoted his comeback fight, his first comeback fight. But that was a long time ago. That was over 10 years ago. He's doing it again. He fought late last year. He's fighting again next week. And he's taken on who's become the proverbial punching bag, who we know is Jason Gavrin. So a lot of stupid business moves by my man Jason. But nonetheless, we'll talk about that. And I wanted to get this in yesterday, but we didn't have a chance. But some interesting studies about brain disease and being triggered by concussions, which are, came on, concussions caused by sports, combat sports, contact sports, and some statistics about that I want to get into. All of that's going to be coming up in about 2, because right now I'm going to take a short break.
If you're in upstate New York and you need a trucking company, then you need Rosselli Enterprises. Rosselli Enterprises is trucking at its finest. They have it all. Dump trucks, dump trailers, walk-in floors, flatbeds, flowboys, tankers, loaders, and a full line of roll-off containers for any job, big or small. Rosselli Enterprises is also the source for all your sand, gravel, and topsoil needs. Visit them on the web at RosselliTrucking.com or call 315-433-5115. That's 315-433-5115 and tell them Billy C sent you.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
We've got a great matchup tonight. Fighting out of the left corner is the #1 ranked contender.
No, he is not.
I'm sorry, but who are you?
I am the ideal computer. I am programmed to provide only fair and unbiased boxing rankings. This fighter is the #15 ranked contender.
Fair and unbiased boxing rankings? That's a new concept.
Actually, it is not. The IBO has provided unbiased computerized rankings for many years.
Well, we've still got a great fight tonight, folks. In the left corner is the #15 ranked contender.
The IBO, the champion of integrity. Learn more at IBOBoxing.com.
Check out BillyCBoxing.com now, or feel the wrath of the mighty mustache.
Oh, that hurts. Why are you doing that to my face? I hate you.
That's BillyCBoxing.com. Consider this your warning.
As a young boy, all Billy C dreamed about was one day having his own catchphrase.
And we're back. And we're back.
One boy, one dream, one day, everyone will say.
And we're back. 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 And we're back.
Catchphrase coming soon to a theater near you.
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Box with Billy C show. Hey, man, you know, Jason Gavin doesn't have to wait that long to get his ass kicked because it's this Sunday, not next Sunday. Dax Khan is correcting me. He's already in the chat room getting geared up for his weekend boxing roundup, which is going to be coming up in a little bit. So, hey, Jason, I know you like, getting your ass kicked from one end of the ring to the other. Hey, it's going to happen again on Sunday by 97-year-old Oleg Moskayev. But anyway, new poll question up. Cast your vote right now. Who would you rather see fight Floyd next? There's 4 choices there. Pick one. We'll see what happens. D35TR00. Where'd you come up with that, man? Sounds like one of these password requirements. You know, you got to have a capital, got to have a couple of numbers, you got to have some letters and zeros and special characters. But D, let's just call him D35. He says, I hope Margarito returns. You know, I've heard a lot of nicknames for Antonio Margarito. Margarito is the one that is the most popular, but I've never heard Margarito. Yeah, that's a good one. He says Margarito is all action. He's never been in a boring fight. I agree with you. It's a shame what happened with him, and I'm going to get into some stuff that's still going on with him. But unfortunately, D35, he's not returning, according to his official statement yesterday. He also, D35 also says, B-Hop, I love it. You have to include B-Hop, Bernard Hopkins, a.k.a. the 8th wonder of the world. Yeah, he's referring to our discussion yesterday. He is a freak of nature. I mean, not that I'm a huge fan of his or anything, but I will admit that Bernard Hopkins clearly is not your ordinary 48-year-old. That's for sure. I mean, he's only a few years younger than me. Okay, so he's 4 years younger than me. But I'll tell you what, I look and feel about 15 years older than him. So thanks for the email, D35. Keep him up. Justin Griffin says, Billy C, I love your show. I've only been watching it for about a month or so now, but now I listen every day. Well, I appreciate it, Justin. He says, now as far as Mayweather versus Matisse, I hate to burst everybody's bubble, but it ain't going to happen. Both are Al Heyman fighters, and he is not going to put them in the ring together. Same with Garcia and Matisse. Both Al Heyman fighters. Not going to happen. I can see Mayweather versus Swift to get Garcia a nice payday. Besides losing to Mayweather, it won't hurt Swift's stock. It will only make him more marketable. Justin, I don't know, man. I don't know if I agree with you on that. And the reason being is that, the boxing has taken a totally different turn over the last 5-6 years. And, let me backtrack for a second. I promoted for years, for 15 years, actually. And, during that time, and I think my last fight I did was maybe '02 or '04, something like that. And not that I would never do another one, but I just got into other things. But primarily this show. But anyway, the bottom line. Actually, it was '02 was the last one, to be exact. At that time, at least in the state of New York and several other states I promoted in, you were not allowed, believe it or not, it was a rule, that you were not allowed to have a promotional contract with fighters that were fighting each other, which is totally not the case today. Today, that's all we see. We see Golden Boy fighters fighting Golden Boy fighters, top-ranked fighters fighting top-ranked fighters. With that said, and with the complexion change of how the big money fights are made, it's not unusual to see two fighters that are managed by the same manager fighting each other. It just recently happened, and I'm trying to remember who it was. It was a big fight too. It was a big fight. I'm trying to remember who it was. It was a pretty grueling fight, even fight. It might have been Abner Mares in his last fight. Abner Mares when he beat Daniel Ponce Leon. I believe it was. They're managed by the same guy, and the offer came from, and they're promoted by the same guy, same team, Golden Boy. And when the offer came in, it's all about money. In boxing, you position your fighter to make the biggest paydays he can and be in the most lucrative fights. And if you're managing two guys that are promoted by the same promoter and they're in the same weight class, there's more than a good chance that they are going to meet each other. So I would have to disagree with my man Justin, but we'll have to see. Well, we'll have to wait and see. It was from what I understand, they're already negotiating Danny Garcia against Matisse. So, we'll see what happens there. And as far as Mayweather is concerned, well, I would rather see Floyd Mayweather fight Lucas Matisse. I just like the fight. To me, it poses a challenge for Floyd. And that's what I'm talking about with Floyd. I saw some other comments about, Floyd, Floyd does not need to go to 160 pounds to be great and all that stuff. No, he doesn't. But he definitely needs to challenge himself. Floyd has not really challenged himself. Come on, man. Yeah, I don't care. Listen, if you're the biggest Floyd Mayweather fan in the world, if you can honestly look in the mirror and say to yourself that your man, your idol, the guy you wear the Floyd Mayweather underwear and feety pajamas for, if you really believe that this guy has ultimately challenged himself and has proved beyond any reasonable doubt that he's, one of the greatest fighters ever, well, then I think you need some help. If you're basing, the fact that you think he's one of the greatest fighters ever because of what he displays in terms of skill set in the ring and the fact that he's undefeated and those things, I could see where you justify it. But the question here is, do you really honestly believe, that he has challenged himself? I'm not looking at, I don't want to hear from Given Quality telling me, well, he's that much better than the field. I agree in certain weight classes, but throughout the history of the sport, the guys that went down as top all-time greats have always pushed the envelope and challenged themselves to the max. Speaking of max, how about Joey Maxim? Sugar Ray Robinson taking on Joey Maxim, who was way bigger than him, and ultimately winning the fight till the heat got to him in the 13th round at Yankee Stadium way back when. Even a guy like Roy Jones Jr., a guy who many people compare the path and the career, calculated risk choice opponents. A lot of people compare that to Floyd Mayweather, but even he moved up and fought at heavyweight. Even he challenged his own body, moving up and back and forth and everything else. And you could even argue, like I said, and that's why I was getting the attaboy from D35, you can even argue the challenges with Bernard Hopkins. Like I said, I'll admit, I'm not a big B-Hop fan, but got to give credit what credit's due. Here's a guy that has challenged himself. Hey, listen, he challenges himself right now getting in a ring at 48. I challenged my fat ass walking up and down the stairs at 52. So come on, man. Come on. But anyway, hey, we'll see what happens, Justin. You make a great point. So you never know. You never know with these guys. But anyway, I got another email that I'm going to read after the break. Don't forget about following us on Twitter. We appreciate it. It's at Talkin' Boxing, TalkinBoxing.com. And also join our group, our Facebook group. Now, we have several Facebook accounts because some of them fill up pretty quickly. So you can look up Bill Calogero or Billy Calogero or even BillyCBoxing. I think Dax set one up for that. And join, become friends of those. But our Talkin' Boxing with Billy C group is an area where I think you're going to like that group. So if you're a listener and you're not part of it, join it, because a lot of times good stuff gets posted up there. Like Alex Papali posts some video clips that he refers to in his Blast from the Past segment and all of that. So make sure you join the group, Talking Boxing with Billy C. And of course, one of our most cherished things right now is our Twitter account. We try to be like a ticker tape with boxing news, especially when we have ringside coverage. And speaking of ringside coverage, we will have ringside coverage this weekend for Friday Night Fights. Alex Papali will be at the Mohegan Sun. I'm jealous. He's been getting all the Mohegan Sun gigs. And, round by round, fight by fight, he will be giving you basically a tweet round by round. And Delvin Rodriguez, a lot of us think that he's in a good test, a good fight, and the co-main event. And both of those fights are on the Billy C Challenge this week, which incidentally I sent out. So anyway, hey, listen, I'm going to take a short break. And when I come back, we're going to continue with the emails. I got some boxing news I want to talk about. And then in about 30 minutes, we got Dax Khan coming up, and he's going to give us his weekend boxing schedule roundup, plus his thoughts on some fights from last week, as well as some big fights for this week, including Carl Froch, Miguel Kessler rematch. FYI, if you were curious about the BillyCBoxing challenge, looking for the standings, not the standards, the standings, they've been updated, so you can check them out on www.BillyCBoxing.com, as well as the Billy C rankings. And, as far as we know, our rankings panel is available to our people, for the people that are part of the BillyCBoxing family. But I wanted to extend an opportunity to anyone out there that wants to be part of our ranking system. If you take a minute and drop me an email, Billy@TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing. If you're interested in being part of our ranking system, I'll explain to you how it works. And if you still can do it, and if you've been involved with the sport a long time and feel you can contribute, I'll be glad to add you to our panel. We're trying to grow the panel a little bit here because we're very proud of our rankings. We believe we've picked up the slack from the ring ratings. The ring ratings used to be the Bible. That's where the Bible of boxing with Ring Magazine. But now, everybody and their cousin knows that the Ring Magazine is nothing more than a Golden Boy Promotions showcase. So if you want to be part of our ring ratings, our BillyCBoxing ratings panel, drop me an email, Billy@TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com.
Are you ready, America? Then let's get it on with Fight Now TV. It's time, fight fans. Your channel has arrived. All the fights, all the names, all the action. From world-class boxing events to mixed martial arts showdowns and other combat sports matchups, Fight Now TV delivers the hits and more. Call your television provider and tell them you want to get it on with Fight Now TV. For more details, go to fightnow.com.
Broadcasting in all corners of the globe, on the web and radio. He would scoff at the stretch of that man, I would think.
You're listening to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. from upstate New York in the good old US of A.
Boxing is here to stay because we are here to stay.
The best 2 hours of boxing talk on the airwaves.
Hey, fight fans, check out KOFantasyBoxing.com.
KO Fantasy Boxing is boxing's only trademarked fantasy game. Check it out, www.kofantasyboxing.com. Select your own gym, your own fighters, track them through a season that can last from 3 months to a year, depending upon which league you join. You got to check this out, man. www.kofantasyboxing.com. Join it today. Again, www.kofantasyboxing.com, and tell them Billy C sent ya.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C., the only radio host man enough to take a punch from Mike Tyson.
Wait a minute, man. Hold on there. Jeremy, man, I need you to take this one, all right?
Wait, what? No way. I can't do this.
Need I remind you I'm Billy C., damn it? Now put on that mustache and get in there.
Hey, look at me. I'm Billy C. Crap.
The undisputed heavyweight champion of Boxing Talk Radio. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
Test 1 2. Test 1 2. My fellow Americans, good evening. Welcome back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. It's great to be here discussing the sweet science with everybody. I love boxing. I love talking boxing. It's what I do.
Bill.
Oh, wait, what?
Bill.
Why are you interrupting me? What?
Wrong.
What's the problem?
Billy
What?
C.
I did not have...
We're gonna have to ask
wrong
you.
speech. What do you mean wrong, Billy C? What's going on here? Fine, I'll go. I just wanted to talk some boxing on TPSradio.net. That's all I wanted to do. I don't need your damn show. I'll get my own talking wrestling with the other Billy C. Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, I've always been a Hulkamaniac anyway.
Broadcasting live, brother. Welcome back to Talking Boxing with Billy C. on the mighty TPSradio.net, brother. What you gonna do, brother?
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C. show. Glad you could join us. And for all the old-time or long-time Billy C. listeners, who was Cecil? If you know who Cecil was, and you're the first one to email me, Billy@TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com, I'm going to send you a T-shirt courtesy of KOFantasyBoxing.com. So check that out. Who was Cecil? Come on, man. You guys know who Cecil was. Remember? Funny stuff. But anyway, got one more email to read here. And then I got some news I want to talk about. Of course, we got news all the time. But this one comes from Hawaii Mike. You know, this guy, I've never met Mikey in person, but, I'm jealous of him. He lives in Hawaii. Isn't that like the perfect climate? I think people have voted either that or San Diego in the United States. Anyway, the perfect climate, Hawaii. But Hawaii Mike says, what's poppin', Billy C? Yeah, I think we've no comment. Let's get poppin'. But anyway, he says, how good do you expect the Froch Kessler rematch to be? He says, I'm very excited about this one. Froch fights rarely miss. Also, who wins? He says he's predicting Froch, no question, mid to late round stoppage. He says, assuming that he does win, what's next for Froch? He says, I'd like to see Carl Froch versus Andre Ward in Nottingham. He says, I feel Carl was coming on in their first bout in the last 2 to 3 rounds and had Ward looking slightly flustered. That makes me curious to see a rematch. It wasn't a complete blowout victory for Ward, in my opinion. He says, stay classy, Hawaii Mike. Well, first of all, I love the fact that they're fighting again, and I think it's was actually the biggest fight for both these fighters to take. I like Carl Froch. I mean, I like everything about him, except his defense. I can't stand it, and it's always bugged the hell out of me, that he fights with his hands down. He fights like, and this is the contribution that fighters like Roy Jones Jr. has made and ruined in our sport of boxing. Even Floyd Mayweather. these guys that, rely on their athleticism, their hand speed and footwork and everything else, and they end up fighting with their hands down, in kind of a show-off kind of a way, because they're that much better than their opponents. What's happened is a lot of younger fighters have, watched this and they try to emulate it. I mean, let's be real. When you're a kid and you become a boxing fan, generally it's because you watched boxing or you saw somebody in a gym and you try to emulate that fighter. It's like that in any sport. If you're a kid and you're playing NFL football, not NFL, but I say that because we have a lot of European listeners. Football, meaning, American football. Who's your favorite player? That's who you emulate. When I was a kid, when they had leather helmets in American football, my man was Joe Namath, and my childhood friend who I'm still friends with, my man Johnny D was a John Riggins fan. They were both with the New York Jets, and when we used to play football in high school, and well, this was before high school, but in grade school, during lunch and all of that stuff, who did you pretend you were? Well, your idols, Joe Namath, John Riggins, et cetera, et cetera. If you play hoops, you're shooting hoops. Maybe you're Michael J., maybe you're LeBron James now. I don't know, but you emulate, when you're a kid, you emulate who your heroes are. Well, boxing's no different, except there's a difference. With no difference in emulating a hero, but there's a difference in obtaining bad habits. You might not be as athletically gifted as a Roy Jones Jr. was in his prime, but the end result is we've found a lot of fighters who try to emulate that. I'll never forget this. When I had the gym in Poughkeepsie, New York. We had a fighter. I had a fighter that basically stabbed me in the back, but he was a young heavyweight who couldn't stay away from Twinkies and egg sandwiches. But he one day he was sparring, and I know I've told this story before, but one day he was sparring, and next thing I know, I see his hands down, fighting like Carl Froch or Roy Jones or Mayweather or whatever, and I stopped the action. I go, "What are you doing, man?" He said, "Well, I'm not in the danger zone. So, I'm keeping my hands down." I said, "What do you mean you're not in the danger zone?" He says, "Well, when I move into the danger zone, when my opponent can hit me, that's when my hands go up. That's what Floyd does." I said, "Dude, you're not Floyd Mayweather. If I were you, I'd keep your hands up all the time." It's a habit. It's a bad habit that fighters get into. You may not be in the danger zone now because it's the early rounds, but your perception and your distance might be a little skewed by the 6th or 7th or 8th round, and what you think is not the danger zone may very well be the danger zone. So, for you to be thinking that you have a chance to put your hands down is just ridiculous. And I see it a lot. And with Carl Froch, he fights with his hands down. Now, he's 35 years old right now. And I think that the Andre Ward fight that Hawaii Mike is referring to, I think he lost that fight because of that defensive style. Andre Ward is a talented guy. He's athletic, and he was able to expose that lack of defense. Miguel Kessler is a guy that could very well expose that lack of defense, especially if Carl has slowed down just a smidgen. Now, I personally think that Kessler is a little overrated. I look at him kind of as a Joe Calzaghe type fighter, and I think that he's got some mileage on him as well. As far as who do I think is going to win the fight, well, I'm going to give my official predictions tomorrow, but I think it is going to be an entertaining fight. I really do. And like an emailer said earlier, thinking, not today, but earlier in the week, thinking that, this is going to be a trilogy. It very well could be, because, the second question that Hawaii Mike asked me, what's next for Froch should he win? Not only, depending upon the fight, if it's a good, close fight, then yeah, I would vote for a trilogy, maybe in a neutral place like Las Vegas. Because remember, Froch traveled to Kessler, lost a controversial decision in the first fight. Now Kessler is traveling to Carl Froch for the second fight. And this has the makings of what used to take place as the norm. They'd always fight 3 fights. One in your backyard, one in my backyard, and one in a neutral place. And, we saw that a lot back in the 40s and 50s, and maybe we got something going now with Froch and Kessler. But I agree with Hawaii Mike that if a third fight is not made right away, that a second Carl Froch and Andre Ward fight would be a lucrative fight, and I like that. I like that, and I think that maybe that might have been already discussed, especially considering that Andre Ward, which is not Ward-esque, he's publicly predicting that Carl Froch is going to win the fight. So we'll see what happens. But Hawaii Mike, thanks for the email. We always appreciate your email. Yeah, and Dax has got it right. Yeah, you're right about who you're saying. I was the fat, lazy heavyweight, and we might as well mention his name. I mean, I don't care. Detroit the backstabber, who can't stay away from buffets and egg sandwiches and donuts and stuff like that. But anyway, a lot of stuff going on with that fight that was supposed to have happened between Derek Chisora and, in my opinion, one of the biggest frauds in boxing today, and Deontay Wilder. Now, the reason why I say Deontay Wilder is a fraud is simply this. He pounds in his chest and says he's the best American heavyweight out there. Normally that wouldn't bother me at all. And it's not because he's a trash talker. It's not because he's not in great shape, because he is. It's not because he didn't accomplish, something by, finishing third in the Olympics, which incidentally, I don't know if I've heard of anyone else that got a bronze medal. Now, don't get me wrong. A bronze medal in an Olympic competition is a huge accomplishment. I mean, I couldn't even in my best days, I couldn't have even made an Olympic team, let alone as an alternate, let alone win any kind of a medal. So I'm not suggesting for a second that obtaining a bronze medal in the World Olympics is no small feat. However, having your nickname based on that is kind of weird, because it's like this. What's the old saying? Finishing second only means you're the first loser to cross the finish line. So to have your nickname the Bronze Bomber, bragging about your third place finish, I mean, I think it says it all, in my opinion anyway. I don't have anything against trash talkers. I know a lot of you guys think I do, because the fighters that I'm critical of generally are trash talkers. But that's not the case. Victor Chinian is a trash talker, and he backs up what he says. I love him. Carl Froch, he's a trash talker. He's getting in trouble with a choice of words he used with the B of C, because he said that he wanted to kill Carl Froch, and they took that. You can't say that, and people might think you might mean that literally. And, but he's a trash talker. I like him. Anyone that talks trash, that attempts to back it up, I'm okay with. It's the trash talkers that talk trash and don't back it up. David Haye is one of them. Deontay Wilder is another. Deontay Wilder is a guy who says he's the best American heavyweight, pounds his chest, jumps up on the ropes, says I'm the best heavyweight, tells anyone who will listen. Who's he fought? Who's he fought to make him the best American heavyweight? I mean, come on. Are we going to throw in Fraudly Embarrassing? Are we going to really use him? He is the best opponent that Deontay Wilder has ever faced. Fraudly Embarrassing, a guy that didn't even come to fight. So Deontay Wilder, he gets to say he's the best American heavyweight. Come on, man, come on. Now Derek Chisora isn't in my opinion. I like Derek Chisora, but he's not a great fighter. But geez, he's definitely a gauge. He's definitely a gauge to see where you're at. And I personally thought that Deontay Wilder against Derek Chisora would have been a very good fight, a lucrative fight, a test fight, a fight that says, hey, Deontay, can you beat a guy like Derek Chisora? Because if you can, now maybe I'm going to start to listen to your BS. Maybe just a little. You know, so far you haven't shown me anything. You know, you've been beating up a bunch of slugs. You know, listen, Owen, what the heck are you still fighting for? Beck, it shouldn't even be allowed to you know, fight. I mean, he shouldn't even be allowed to drive a vehicle, you know, let alone be allowed to fight. I mean, this poor guy, somebody has to, you know, protect this guy, you know, and no one does. He finds himself fighting in places that obviously aren't doing scans and stuff like that. And this guy is going to have some serious trouble if he's already showing signs of it. And Deontay Wilder brags about knocking him out. You know, come on, man. Come on. Well, the bottom line is Deontay Wilder got arrested for knocking out some chick. You know, that he can, you know, he's bragging about being the toughest American heavyweight. Yeah, because he kicks the crap out of women and stuff. You know, he's following the Floyd Mayweather rule. But you know, he tried to shove it under the carpet and all this stuff. But the bottom line is this. Frank Warren had, you know, negotiated a deal, according to Frank Warren, with Deontay Wilder's promotional team and his matchmaker. Deontay Wilder, for whatever reason, did not want the fight. Golden Boy tried to back out of it by saying that the arrest that he had in London was preventing him from getting over there. You know, team Warren said, well, you know, we had already planned this press conference. I mean, you know, what can we do, blah, blah, blah. And then Golden Boy stopped, you know, being, you know, and this is one of my biggest pet peeves. You know, you do it if you're trying to, you know, do a sales call or you know, you're trying to get somebody to talk to you, and then they ignore you. You know, what a wimp. What a bunch of wimps. You know, Golden Boy in the boxing business, what a bunch of wimps. You know, they brag about their deals. They brag about how they take care of their fighters, and they don't have the balls to return and say, hey, listen, we decided against it, Mr. Warren. We're not taking the fight. You know, you don't have a signed contract. So first of all, Frank Warren, you know, what a stupid move that is. You don't schedule a press conference without signed paperwork in front. So, you know, it's partly his fault too, you know. But you know, what a bunch of wimps Golden Boy is. You know, listen, you don't have a contract in place? You know, drop the guy an email. Respond to an email. Pick up the phone and call. You know, stop being a wimp. You know, just ignore them. You know, if I'm Frank Warren, I never do business with Golden Boy again. Ever. You know, I mean, you know, how many times, you know, do you reach out to somebody and you know, you're in this correspondence and all of a sudden, no more communication. It's like, what? You know, well, you don't have the balls to tell me to go F myself, or you don't have the balls to tell me you're not interested. You know, what you just want to ignore. You know, I can't stand that. I can't stand it. To me, that's a wimp. That's a bully. You know how bullies, like, you know, they pick on, you know, the weaker people or somebody that doesn't have a chance or whatever. It's a bully. You know, preys on weaker opponents. Until you stand up for them, and then they run away like, you know, like girls, you know. So come on, that's what Deontay Wilder and Golden Boy acted like with Warren, with Frank Warren. Ultimately, Frank Warren announced yesterday that the original card that was scheduled for June 15th, which was supposed to have Derek Chisora against Deontay Wilder, has been rescheduled to July 20th. Now, you know, Deontay Wilder's out of the picture because he's not man enough to fight Derek Chisora. Whether he was arrested or not. So, you know, and Frank Warren has had to come out in public and say that his announcement of the fight was premature. But he's also said that, hey, listen, you know, Deontay Wilder's talking smack about me and my company, which he's not allowed to do, and he's going to get some legal repercussions there. Here's the deal. Derek Chisora will be fighting on July 20th. Against two, we don't know. So we'll keep you posted on that. But some of the names that they're mentioning was Tyson Fury, Manuel Charr. You know, ever since Manuel Charr was like invented, and then fought Klitschko for the title. He's been pretty busy. I mean, not only did he make a payday against Klitschko, but he's been getting some opportunities since then. So, more power to him, right? But Frank Warren has offered a deal to fight Chisora for Tyson Fury, Manuel Char, and also Frez Oquendo, which is just signed on to fight Derek Rossi in a couple of weeks. So we'll see what happens. Maybe Frez Oquendo gets by Derek Rossi and can fight in July. Maybe he does. I don't know. We'll see what happens with Fast Frez. But that's what's going on with that fight and Frank Warren. So we were talking a little bit about Carl Froch and Miguel Kessler. And some quotes. Carl Froch says, I can't wait to get in the ring and do a job on this man. He says, I owe Kessler one to set the record straight. I'm going to leave everything in the ring. Kessler says, I'm here to show him that I'm better than him, even in his hometown. The bottom line is Kessler's going to be coming out second. They both have belts, if you recall. But they had to determine who was going to come out second, so they did the old, the best way to determine that. They flipped the coin, and I was like, why didn't they use the double-headed coin, man? Heads, I'll take the heads. But anyway, and like I said a little bit earlier, Andre Ward, he's predicting a win for Carl Froch, and he said, and I quote, he says, Carl Froch has been in some tough fights, but he has more in the tank. I think Kessler has kind of dipped a little bit since he and I fought, and even since he's fought Froch the first time, he says, even though it's going to be a tough fight, it's going to be back and forth. I can't see Kessler winning this fight. Kessler's last two performances wasn't against the best of guys, and, I just can't see him winning. So we'll see what happens, and I agree. Kessler, I never was impressed with Kessler, but the whole thing with the super middleweight tournament and him pulling out, that gave me reason to believe that he didn't want to risk any more losses. But all those guys with that tournament that ended up pulling out due to injury and stuff, I think that they really did not want to risk the losses on their record and how the stupid network TV execs, value the undefeated records and stuff like that. And that's why they bailed. But anyway, one last thing I wanted to mention real quick. Was about Antonio Margarito. And, he's denied the possible return to the ring. And he's also denied financial issues. Here's the thing. Apparently, it's been leaked out that he's going through a divorce and that they're, fighting for millions of dollars. Now, he does admit that he made enough money in boxing, but he also knows that his career is over. He has no intention of coming back to the ring at 35 years old, 36 years old. And he wanted to make a public appeal to people that are starting these rumors. And it's an interesting thing, and it goes to show you how dangerous life is outside the United States. He said, yes, this is not a new thing, that he and his wife are legally split, and they are working through a divorce settlement. She has since found someone else, and she's happy. As a matter of fact, she's pregnant. And he has also found someone else who he's had a child with, and both of he and his soon-to-be ex-wife want to move on with their lives and split up and marry their current girlfriend and boyfriends respectively. He said, but we get along. It's not a fierce, brutal divorce. He says we're just negotiating a settlement. He says, but the reports that are coming out are painting the picture that they're talking about millions and millions of dollars. And he fears, and this is what really hit home to me, he says that he fears for the life of his children that he has with his ex-wife, and for even his ex-wife and his new girlfriend and their new child together, because the people of Mexico that may not even be boxing fans will prey on this situation, meaning that they would kidnap or try to extort money and stuff, because the press is saying that there's millions of dollars, so they see a way of getting money. And this is kind of weird, when the way you think of it here, that basically, we're talking about this from a boxing sense and sprinkling in, maybe he's doing it for the money, and not even thinking that by publicizing this, you got some lunatic over in Mexico that says, hey, they're fighting it out for $2 million. Maybe I'll kidnap the kid and extort some money, So, I believe it. I believe that Antonio Margarito was sincere. And one other part of his statement that he said was, he says, and this shows you, this is what I like about this guy. I don't like cheaters. I was one of the ones that said he should be banned for life, and all that stuff. If they found out that he had cheated before, remember when they discovered it, he hadn't gotten in the ring, so technically he didn't cheat. But listen to the statement. He says, "I accepted and still accept any criticism about my boxing career, and was always thankful that the press covered my boxing career," which he's referring to the loading of the gloves. He says, "But this is not a case strictly related to the sport. I believe that boxing has been used by a few journalists to trample on my private life, showing no respect for other people who have nothing to do with boxing and could be seriously hurt by this erroneous information." And he's referring to, they live in Tijuana, which is tough. And he says the Mexican people in Tijuana, we could become victims of blackmail and even kidnapping. He says, this is why I have to make this statement public. And, it makes you realize that, you can't just say this stuff. You have to have some substance behind it. You guys know, especially people that have been listening and watching the show for any length of time, you know my stand with laws and authority figures and stuff like that. Can't stand them. But the thing is this, in my opinion, you're innocent until proven guilty. At least in the United States, that was our battle cry. You're innocent until proven guilty. But what's happened in life, it seems, because of how instantaneous information is passed from one to another, it's become reversed. It's like you're assumed guilty in the public's eye. Now it's up to you to prove that you're innocent. When did that happen? Why does Antonio Margarito have to reach out through the press and tell them, please stop making up things that I'm coming back. Stop making up that I'm in financial trouble. Don't make me prove that that's not the case. And, oh, by the way, you're putting my family in danger because you don't realize what life is like over here in Tijuana, Mexico. It bothers me, man. You're innocent until proven guilty. It's not the other way around. It's like, Dax Khan, if Dax Khan says something about me that's not true, I say Dax Khan because he's going to be coming up in a little bit, a couple of minutes actually, and, if he says something that's not true, why should I protect myself and have to prove that he's wrong? He should have to prove that what he's saying is true. It shouldn't be the other way around. But anyway, that's my thoughts. Speaking of Dax Khan, he's going to be joining us in about 2.
Talkin' Boxing with Billy C now has official merchandise available on TalkinBoxing.com. T-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, and mugs. And yes, even undergarments. Talkin' Boxing apparel is the perfect gift for the boxing fan in your life. Log on to www.talkinboxing.com. That's TalkinBoxing.com and place your order today.
Join us here for 2 hours as Billy and the gang do what they do best.
Every time I start talking about boxing, a white man got to pull Rocky Marciano out the ass. Rocky Marciano was good, but compared to Joe Louis, Rocky Marciano ain't.
Beat Joe Louis's ass.
Joe Louis was 75 years old when he fought.
Huh? What?
We're supposed to be talking boxing.
It's Talking Boxing with Billy C.
As Billy C sits here in the multi-million-dollar Talkin' Boxing Studios, sipping a fine wine before you're even out of bed, you should be thinking, damn, I wish I had a mustache like his. It's the Talkin' Boxing with Billy C show. He's Billy C, and you're not. Sucks to be you.
Now let's dig into our archives and hear a rare interview when Billy C first became the champion of boxing talk radio. Hello, Billy C. As the new champ, can we ask you a few questions?
Why, certainly.
Okay, your fans would like to know how you and your corner have successfully walloped the competition.
We're not ordinary people. We're morons.
Anything else?
I'm a victim of circumstance.
Did your success finally come when you made the show 5 days a week for 2 hours? What do you think?
I'm trying to think, but nothing happens.
Now, please tell the listeners what you've learned from making it this far.
Certainly. If at first you don't succeed, keep on sucking till you do succeed.
Great words of wisdom, Billy C. Keep up the great work as the undisputed People's Champion with your show, Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. Any last words to anyone who's listening?
This is your fault, you bonehead.
And we're back. You are listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. You're watching us on the Fight Now television channel. Glad you could join us. And, the weather finally changed, man. It went from, not quite 50 degrees here in upstate New York to hazy, hot, and humid. Yesterday it was awful. All the mosquitoes are out. I'm covered with mosquito bites. It's just terrible. It's terrible here. And I'm just wondering, joining us right now, Dax Khan. Is it that bad for you? You getting eaten alive down there or what?
Yeah, definitely. The humidity is killing me here. Just talking to Chatty Factory in the chat room about that, just saying how humid it is over here, and just thinking last summer was brutal, Bill. I'm hoping we're not getting it again this year.
I tell you, the whole East Coast is humidity just hangs around us over here. But I don't know. I think I'd rather take that over tornadoes and stuff. What's going on? I mean, the weather in the last half a dozen years has been, talk about unpredictable.
Yes, it is. Matter of fact, I think I told you it was either last week or the week before. My wife was driving, and it was pretty sunny out, and all of a sudden she drove right into this hailstorm. It lasted about 2 miles and drove right out of it, and she actually texted me afterwards. She was like, "You never believe the craziest thing happened. It was only about 2 miles up the road from me, and it just passed by and went into the other direction." But it's just odd the way it happened. The weather here, there's no more winters, there's no more summers. It just all kind of blends into one.
I know. It's awful. It's terrible. But what are you going to do? I was complaining in the winter when it was, you take a breath outside and your mustache free. Well, maybe not yours, but mine does. And and then now I'm it's like, damn, it's too hot. But hey, why don't you get into your boxing weekend schedule roundup so then we could talk about some other stuff real quick. So I know you set me straight. I thought maybe Jason Gavin had another week before he was going to get his ass kicked by Oleg Moskayev, but that's this Sunday. I'm glad you straightened me out on that. What else is going on this weekend, bro?
All right, starting on Friday, May 24th, in France, the hard-hitting Carlos Takam defends his WBF heavyweight title against aging former world title challenger Michael Grant. In Merseyside, United Kingdom, we'll have a Hatton Promotions card featuring the debut of bantamweight Ryan Burnett, who our own Jerry Murray did an interview with recently on our site, www.BillyCBoxing.com. Also on that bill is super bantamweight prospect, the undefeated James Dickens, and Mohegan Sun Casino in Uncasville, Connecticut, Star Boxing Place host for this week's ESPN Friday Night Fights card. And the headliners, the always exciting light middleweight Delvin Rodriguez taking on Freddie Hernandez, and the co-feature undefeated light welterweight prospect Yusuf Kinda faces Chris Howard. And one of my favorite star fighters is a kid who always seems to steal the show on those cards, Joseph Chip Perez. He's going to be taking on Frank Trader Saturday, May 25th in Buenos Aires, Argentina. Luna Park Promotions airs on Argentine TYC Sports. Two-division world champion and current WBO super flyweight title holder Omar Andres Navarez makes the sixth defense of that belt when he battles Felipe Ursuda. in the main event, Omar is a guy who I just don't understand why he doesn't get a lot more attention. He made 16 defenses of his flyweight title before he moved up to super flyweight. He's never been off his feet, not even when he jumped up to challenge Nonito Donaire for a bantamweight title in 2011, which was his only loss. I don't know, boxing's not paying enough attention to the little guys, or Omar has some very bad promotion, but this guy's a superstar at minimum. I wish he'd get the accolades, Billy, that he deserves for what he's put into the sport. Undefeated light welterweight Cesar Rene Cuenca is also going to be on that card defending his WBO Latino light welterweight title. In Mexico, on Mexican Televisa, Canelo Promotions has a female world title headliner. Azulina Munoz puts her championship up against Soledad Mercado. That is for the WBC female world super flyweight belt. And in the co-feature, Armando Santos takes on Harold Molina for the vacant NABF flyweight title in London at the O2 Arena, as you were talking about before. Super middleweights Carl Froch and Mikhail Kessler finally rematched their disputed 2010 bout. Kessler won by unanimous decision in Denmark. This is going to be a unification bout for the WBA and IBF super middleweight titles. On the undercard, super middleweight George Groves vies for the vacant WBA Intercontinental super middleweight title against No Gonzalez Alcova. And we also see another rematch that brought some question to who really won their first bout, as Tony Bello defends his WBC Silver Light Heavyweight Championship against Isaac Chilemba. The last bout was a split draw. The widest margin was actually in favor of Isaac for 116-112, as seen by Judge Christopher Fernandez. Judge Fabian Guggenheim had it 114-114. Eddie Pape scored at 116-115 in favor of Tony. It's going to be a good fight. I think it might even be better than the main event because both those guys are looking to prove something, step up the ladder. Then on Sunday, as you were talking about before, not far away world heavyweight title holder Oliver McCall fought last week. Another age title holder, Oleg Muskayev, is going to take on Jason Gavrin. Maybe they're offering glasses of water from the fountain of youth over there. I don't know, but this seems to be the new hotspot for ex-world champions. That's going to take place at the sports complex in Sarsnak, Russia. And on Saturday in White Plains, New York, where I'm going to be at the Westchester County Center, D-League Promotions presents an IWBF women's interim featherweight title fight when Monica Jeffries takes on Olivia Jarula.
You're going to be at that fight is this weekend?
That's this weekend, yes. I'm going to be over there with my friend Brian Pappas.
Oh, I didn't know you were covering. I didn't even hear about that fight. Who's doing that?
I didn't even know about it till yesterday myself when somebody brought it to my attention, and I shot Diane Fisher an email over there, and she's more than happy to have us down there. So that's where I'm going to be on Saturday night. Anybody steps up, say hello, get into the prize, and maybe get a giveaway. Make sure you mention this episode. Tell them Billy C sent you.
Yeah, man, definitely get me some info on that, and I'll put it up on the site because didn't even hear about that one.
Yeah, definitely today. Like I said, I didn't really hear about it until yesterday myself. Somebody had told me about it, so I contacted them real quick. Bill, if there's a fight card, one of us is going to be there. So hey.
And Diane Fisher usually does stuff in the Washington D.C. area, right?
I believe so. I know she's out of Jersey. Diane Fisher, somebody, people don't really hear that much about her. But, she has been in this sport for a long time. I think she was, off the top of my head, I can't remember, but I know she was one of the first, or the first female, or only female, to actually help put on a heavyweight title fight. It was one of the Klitschko fights over in Russia. I forget who Vladimir had fought, but, if anybody, really looks into her, that's a lady right there who's been around the sport for a long time, who doesn't really, isn't well known, but, she has been behind the scenes, and she's up and coming, so, it's definitely worth watching, and, hey, not a bad way to start out, and I love the fact that there's a female world championship fight on the card.
Is she good looking?
Yes, actually she is. She's a very attractive lady.
Oh, good. Well, send her my email. Listen, last week we had some fights, and one of the fights that were very entertaining for a while it lasted has prompted our new poll question. I don't know if you got a chance to vote on it yet, but Lucas Matisse fought Lamont Peterson, and I don't know what to say. I mean, Matisse seems like a guy who's really he's got it down, man. He's got his whole shtick down because he's fought some really good opposition. Most people believe he was robbed in his two losses. He dismantled Lamont Peterson pretty well. What's your thoughts on that fight and the possibility, at least in my mind, of him making a good fight against Floyd Mayweather Jr.?
I'm not that Floyd Mayweather Jr. talk. Every time we get a guy that comes over the sensational win within 3 weight classes of Floyd, all of a sudden it's, what about him and Floyd? What about him and Floyd? There's a lot of other business more pertinent for Lucas to take care of. Lucas, first of all, before he would even step in against Floyd, he always has the puncher's chance. But, he's got to work, and, his speed is just, that's his biggest hinder, in my opinion. He'd be tailor-made for Floyd Mayweather's counters. Floyd would really just be able to lay against the ropes and, not to sound like, one of them, those fans that just think Floyd walks on water, but, to use Floyd's own words, it'd be easy money for him. Of course, at any point in time, Lucas connects solidly. You have to worry about it. But, yeah, even the grazing punches hurt Lamont Peterson. And Lamont's no pushover. He's no schlep. The only loss he has on his resume is to Timothy Bradley. Anytime he's gotten down, he has gotten back up. But, against Lucas, it was just a whole nother story. And is it me, or does Matisse seem to be getting better with every fight?
I think he is getting better, and that's my point. I think what he's done, and this is what I saw. And like you, I agree. I give him a lot of credit for beating Lamont Peterson because I thought Lamont was a legitimate fighter. I mean, he's a quality fighter. He's a top fighter.
He is a legitimate fighter, but I don't care who you are, man. When you get hit that hard, the body can only take so much, and Matisse hits hard.
Well, here's my point. The guy has become now. He's fought some slick fighters, in the past, and most people think that he beat Zab Judah and stuff. But here's what I see when I watched that fight against Lamont Peterson. Who, let's be real, the guy's game plan was to outbox. He had the hand speed and the boxing ability, just like you said, and he noticed, and his team noticed that Matisse doesn't exactly have hands of lightning. But here's what Matisse has become proficient in: changing and dictating his opponent to fight his style fight. Before we knew it, Lamont's standing right in front of him, and now the equalizer. Stand in front of me, let my lack of speed, go bye-bye, and now you're going to feel my power. My point about Mayweather is Mayweather, too, is a guy that is extremely proficient in getting fighters to fight his style. We saw it against Robert DeGoes Guerrero, could not make any adjustments. We saw it in every fight that Floyd fights. He dictates the pace. It would just be curious to see if Matisse, who seemingly has gotten better and better and better at dictating the fight, if he could chip away at Floyd. That was my point.
Well, Floyd's no idiot. Let's face it. Floyd is, when it comes to ring smarts, Floyd is he's got the PhD definitely. He would not stand there and trade with Matisse. Don't get me wrong. As much as a fan as I am of Robert Guerrero, as much as I like him, and even Andre Berto, who gets a lot of knocks on, but he's an exciting fighter. Matisse is not those guys. Matisse is a true one-punch power knockout artist, and Floyd's not going to take that chance. But Matisse does. He's able to adjust, and Lamont's biggest, in my opinion, his biggest mistake in that fight was he went in with the wrong mindset. He went. I think it was his fight before when he blasted out Kendall Holt. A couple fights before that, Lamont went in there as the aggressor. But guys like Matisse, you're not the aggressor. That's like going in to fight a young Mike Tyson and going right after him. You know what I mean? You're just asking to get knocked out. Lamont, I definitely think, could have outboxed him. He was doing well in the first round, and then in the second round, all of a sudden everything went out the door. Who do you blame? The fighter? The corner? I don't know, but you know what? The next day, Lamont was saying to himself, why didn't I keep doing what I did in the first, So right now, here's the one. Did you catch this, or was it me? The look on Danny Garcia's face. Did you see the way his expression just changed? His eyes got to those big cartoon saucers, and he realized, man, I really wanted to fight Peterson next.
Well, I'm sure he wanted to fight Peterson next, and the thing is that I think that the fight between a potential fight between Danny Garcia and Lucas Matisse is going to be a big fight. The thing is as much as I like Danny Garcia, and there's a lot of things to like about the kid, I'm not so sure that matchup is really in his best interest. I see Danny Garcia trying to mix it up with Matisse, listen, if Zab Judah rocked Danny Garcia in the latter rounds of their fight, what do you think Matisse could do to him if he caught him?
Yeah, I was going to say that exact same thing. You beat me to it. It's Zab, and we're talking in the last rounds of the fight when Zab has always been known to fade. He had Danny rocked. What's he going to do against Matisse? And Matisse, he's not going to go down. His leg isn't going to buckle from Garcia's punches. Lucas's jaw is solid, and he doesn't take an overabundance of shots either. So, it's bad mojo for Garcia. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that, he would definitely beat Garcia because Danny is quality. He's a good fighter. He's another guy who gets a little bit better as he goes along. But right now, I just think, Matisse is bad mojo for him. It really is.
And I tell you, the other thing too.
Matter of fact, I'll interrupt real quick. I think Matisse beats Angel and Danny on the same night.
Yeah, well, he'll be fighting them both. But I think Matisse gets stronger as the fight goes on. I've never seen him tire. I've seen the complete opposite. Even when you start to think Matisse is getting tired, all of a sudden, bam! It's like he gets a second win. But
he's very smart in, when you're making about how we have the adjustments and stuff like that. Matisse fights his pace, and he doesn't let you take him out of his game.
A big topic this week for me, and I've been getting, after speaking with Scotty yesterday, I've been getting kind of, a little mixed feelings, but the majority of people feel the same way I do, and I'm talking about the Guillermo Jones win over my man Denis Ledebev in Russia. I don't know if you saw the fight, but it was an excellent fight, first of all. It was a very competitive and action-packed fight. But the issue here is the condition of Denis Ledebev's face, including his eye, his cheek, his orbital bone, the whole thing. And the Russian ringside doctor who kept permitting the fight to go on, I thought it was a blatant that they were not thinking of the well-being of the fighter, and they were only thinking about him getting to that final bell, which incidentally, on all the scorecards, he would have won the fight. He didn't get to the final bell, and a lot of people think that he kind of just couldn't take it anymore and took that knee, and it was kind of a punch that he went down, and I don't know if you saw it, but what's your thoughts on that whole face and the fact that no one stopped that fight until almost the end? I mean, the doctor didn't either. His corner, then no one did, and the look of everyone was so pissed off in the audience that the fight was stopped, and all you got to do is look at the picture of Denis Ledebev and see why the fight was stopped. What's your thoughts?
I did see the fight. It was a great fight, and but in this business, and I said it before, we've talked about it on the show before. I know we've talked about it off the air. People in this business retire at a young age, with the exceptions of a certain few, and they have to go on in life after this. And unless they're, you got these big mega millions, like you're a Floyd Mayweather type guy, or De La Hoya type guy, whatever money you make inside this sport is going to have to last you, even if you have some outside interest. And somebody like Lebedev, who is a fairly young man, he has a long time to go when he retires off the sport, and it's really hard, even if you have made a lot of money in the ring, how fast that money's going to go if you have excessive medical bills. You have a family, and this. People sometimes are too brave for the fighter's own good. We talk about how the fighter was too brave for his own good, but it was definitely, it bothered me. To see his face up like that. I mean, didn't we learn anything when Shannon Briggs, whose eye didn't look nearly as bad, when he ended up in the hospital against Vitaly Klitschko? It wasn't like it was one of those fights where, with Timothy Bradley Provokanov, where they were going back and forth the whole fight, and, they were just beating each other up. Lebedev, he was ahead on the cards, like you said. He was fighting well, but, that eye was just grotesque. Stop the fight, have a rematch, something. There's always been an angle there. It's not like Jones is in a big demand where, you wouldn't be able to get that rematch. It's definitely, I'm just hope he's all right in the long run. But, yeah, I'm disappointed. I'm definitely bothered by it. And, we were talking about how Moskayev is fighting over there Saturday. And I was thinking about when I was doing my roundup how McCall fought not too far from over there last week. This is why a lot of fights don't happen over there, because, you get a lot of, but, not a lot of high-profile fights outside the Klitschko brothers. or maybe the Vlajeks, because it's dangerous to fight over there. Their idea of what's okay and our idea, or other countries of what's okay, is a lot different. And his health was definitely put at risk. Not just not just features, but his health was put at risk. When something's that big, who knows what was going on inside his head?
Yeah, the worst part of it is you bring up a good point about the risks, fighting outside the U.S. or what have you, or even England. But it's not the case on the other when the shoe's on the other foot. Like I've seen many a fight, fighter gets knocked down in Russia or Germany, and they're waving the fight off. A fighter sustains a very, what we would call a minor cut, and they're waving the fight off. It's when their guy.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Right.
I was going to say, I should rephrase that.
Yeah, because
their guy is over there.
Right, their guy. They continue. They, it's just it just doesn't seem fair. But no, I hear you, and I mean, listen, the guy is a warrior, Ledebev, and he didn't want to quit. I just think that the guy was. It hurt me just looking at those photos. Watching the fight. I think, and I've said this all week long, the most appalling thing I think I've ever witnessed was watching that ringside doctor, at the beginning of that 11th round, give him the thumbs up. Give the referee, Stanley Christodoulov, the thumbs up that he's okay, and pats Denis Ledebev on the back and kind of pushes him back out into the ring. And I'm saying to myself, man, this guy had to protect this guy, and he didn't, and it bothered me. But this week we got a couple of good fights I want to get your opinion on real quick. First and foremost, the biggest fight of the weekend, Miguel Kessler against Carl Froch. It's a rematch. Kessler won the first one. I thought that he kind of got a gift. But what do you think about this fight, which is now in Carl Froch's hometown?
I think Froch should win. I believe Kessler is the more worn of the two fighters. Froch is pretty good physically. Even the fights that he's lost, he's never really gotten beaten up. Plus again, like saying he's at home. It seems like whenever Carl Froch fights at home, he's just he's a great fighter as it is, but he even seems like he's twice as energetic. Ask Lucien Boutte. Miguel Kessler, if he doesn't come out fast, he's going to get knocked out, because I think, and I mentioned Boutte because I see it playing out much the same. I see Froch coming out and just overwhelming Miguel early, who has shown in his last few fights, he really doesn't, he's not able to put it to the gas like he used to be. So I'm taking Froch by knockout. Early.
Yeah. Early, huh? Well,
early, before the fifth.
I want a chance to see the girlfriend, though. I want to see her, looking hot from the ringside. And as long as she doesn't know.
Don't worry, she never shuts up. You can hear Rachel from the dressing room. Believe me.
I know.
Remember,
I know.
she just never. Matter of fact, when he was in Foxwoods that time where we first met, I remember going to the post-fight press conference and walking down the hall to where the conference was, and she was yelling in the hall on the way all the way down there.
Yeah, you went to the post-fight.
Wow, did she ever stop yelling?
You went to the post-fight press conference. I went to the bar.
Yeah.
The fight tomorrow night at Mohegan Sun that you and I we're the Cinderfellas. Why Alex gets to go to Mohegan Sun again. But Delvin Rodriguez against Freddie Hernandez. Delvin Rodriguez is actually being trained now by the first fighter I ever managed in Finelli Felice. And, he seems to be doing well with Finelli, and, he's looked good in his last couple of fights. Is this the turning corner for Delvin? He's been here before. He's been on the cusp. And, my big knock on Delvin, I love the guy, but my knock on him is that sometimes he looks great and sometimes he looks equally as bad. There's no in between. What are we going to see tomorrow night?
Delvin's only problem is here we go again with the word too brave for his own good. He wants to go out there and he wants to go to war, and he's worried about impressing the fans. But if he just goes out there and does his job, I don't think he's going to have any of not even the slightest of a hard time with Freddie Hernandez. As far as, is this the changing point for him? If for Delvin's sake, I hope so, because, he's at that age now where it's now or never. He's already had some world title shots. He's fallen short. And, but I really believe that Delvin's taking this seriously. And, again, what's amazing about Delvin is even though he has 6 losses, he's only been knocked out 1 time. So, he is a quality fighter. I won't say that he's definitely an A fighter, but, he's a B fighter, sometimes he's a B plus fighter, but with all the belts that we have now, there's no reason why Delvin can't capture one of them, as long as he stays away from the guys like Canelo, or, stuff like that. Matter of fact, it would be a good fight, in my opinion, for a world title fight that I think Delvin would have a good chance of winning is against Ishe Smith.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. That would make a good fight. You watch, E.C. Smith is just holding on to that belt because he's probably going to lose it in his first defense. And I was ringside for the fight that he got knocked out. It was an ESPN Friday night fight. He was controlling the action. I mean, he was coasting to a win. Next thing you know, bam, he's down and out. It was a shocking fight. Real quick, one last question before we let you go. Tony Bellew and Isaac Chilimba. Very controversial first fight. It was ordered. The rematch is taking place this weekend. Who do you like?
I'm going to go with Isaac.
Yeah,
he's very underrated, and I know you made fun of me. I think the last time they fought, you made fun of me. You're like, oh yeah, Dax's favorite guy there, Isaac Chilemba, is going over to fight Tony Bellew. I'd have to look that up in the archives. But I really think that I favor Isaac in this fight. I do, especially considering how close that last fight was in England. For it to be, that close in England, basically you got to say that Isaac won that fight. But I think he's going to go back in there. He's thought about some of the things that he could have done a little bit better, and he's going to take it off of Tony. Tony's whole reputation, in my opinion, was based off of, the Cleveland loss, which he should have won. But, other than that, I really don't think that much of Tony Bellew. He's a tough guy. He's fan-friendly, but, I just think Isaac is a little bit better.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because we've seen that a lot in the last couple of months where a fighter does a good performance in a losing effort and all of a sudden his stock rises. And I think you're right about Bellew, man. A lot of people thought he beat Nathan Cleverly and ever since then he's been on a fast track. So,
not to be arrogant, not to be a jerk, because sound like I'm bashing everybody this morning. But I mean, really, is Cleverly much? He hasn't really done anything career defining himself. So
well, he's been here once in the States, and he looked exciting, and I know that we want to see more of him. But you're right. World stage is different than a domestic stage, so we'll have to wait and see. I think time will tell. But anyway,
absolutely.
Several good fights for us to watch, and we'll be chatting about them next week. And one last thing, I know you're excited about us moving to our new time slot. It's almost right around the corner, man. It looks like you'll be able to call me at 6:00 at night if you want. Well, I'll be on the air, but you'll be able to call me at 8:00 at night. I'll be awake.
Thursday nights I'll be calling you around that time.
Yeah, exactly. But at least you won't be afraid to call me at 8:00 at night, thinking that I'm already in my feety pajamas, man.
Yeah, so I'm excited about it. I can't wait. I think I was just saying in the chat room, we got 8 more days, which, it's going to be great. And I actually think that a lot more people are going to get the chance and the opportunity to get inside the chat room and be interactive with us, and be part of the show, like we always say. And I always tell people, you get in that chat room, you're not just going in there and talking to other fans, but, you address the people in the chat room, when any of us are on the air, whether it be me, whether it be Scotty, whether it be Alex Pierpoli, we address comments in the chat room. So, that's how you're part of the show. No other show but this one allows the fans to be part of it. Nobody else is sitting there addressing the stuff in the chat room. And, that's what makes this show better than all the rest.
Yeah, well, they try to copy, and there's so many copycats out there, Dax. It really makes me sick. But anyway, you make a great point, and I'm really looking forward to the new time slot. And we got one more week of the early days, and then we go to normal life. So I'm looking forward to it. Enjoy the fights this weekend, and we'll be looking forward to you next week, my man.
All right, and everybody log on to www.BillyCBoxing.com for a preview of the fight card that I'll be at Saturday.
Sounds good, man. Take care.
All right, have a good day.
That's Dax Khan, and you can check out his column on BillyCBoxing.com. Always great stuff there. Hey, listen, I'm going to take a short break. When I come back, I'm going to talk about head trauma linked to brain disease. That's right, a concussion. We've been talking a lot about it. It goes way back when we had Tanya Norris on, and she was telling us about something called Parkinsonism, which was a disease that they have proven that is linked to basically getting punched in the head. But now there's even more studies, and it doesn't necessarily mean you have to sustain a long battering of a head trauma to kick off brain disease. I'm going to talk about that in about 2.
Talking Boxing with Billy C. Every week, 2 hours of the best boxing talk on the radio.
I have a bunch of questions, Donnell, right? If you feel like you want to, you can answer for JD first. Why will you win? JD Chapman, why will you win?
Baby Holmes will get sick and get hit by a train that day on the way to the fight, or he might have diarrhea, he might have the flu, he might throw up. One of his eyeballs might fall out that day, and I might get lucky.
Talking Boxing with Billy C.
In the real world, life has its shares of trials and tribulations, but you don't have to face them alone. This is Patricia Campanaro of Campanaro and Tomkovich. If you are facing emotionally difficult family legal issues from divorce to child custody, reach out to the team that will dedicate themselves to fighting for you, the team of Campanaro and Tomkovich. With almost 30 years of experience handling divorce, child custody, legal guardianship, visitation, and other legal issues dealing with family concerns, we can help you resolve the problems you are facing with professionalism and care. Our supportive staff is always ready to assist you with any questions or concerns you may have. To find out more about Campanaro and Tomkovich, visit us at duchessnylaw.com or call us and speak to a member of our attentive staff at 845-221-4099. That's 845-221-4099. Don't be surprised at court with inexperienced representation. At Campanaro and Tomkovich, we have been helping our clients get the justice they deserve for almost 30 years, and we could do the same for you.
Now back to Talkin' Boxing with Billy C. He may not have an Excellence in Broadcasting award, but the night's still young.
And he's got martinis.
So you never know what may be by morning. It's Talkin' Boxing with Billy C.
Talking Boxing with Billy C.
The one, the only, Don King.
Makes me feel good, Billy, to have you, the #1 show in the country, Talking Boxing with Billy. So I invite each and every American that's listening to this great show to tune in, because we want you to be there with Billy and me.
St. Jimmy's coming down across the alleyway, up on the boulevard like a zip gun on parade. Lights up the silhouette, he's in some butter net, coming at you on the count of 1, 2.
And we're back. You're listening to the Talking Boxing with Billy C show. Glad you could join us. And you just heard Dax Khan give us his boxing schedule roundup. You can catch him on Thursdays. Make sure you check out his column on BillyCBoxing.com. And while you're at it, don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Talkin' Boxing, TalkinBoxing.com, just Talkin' Boxing. And join our Facebook group. The group's got some special stuff in there all the time. It's Talking Boxing with Billy C group. But anyway, sports-related concussions. Some recent studies have clearly tied them to brain disease. And I have some interesting facts I want to relate to you. New evidence is rapidly unfolding, linking repetitive blows to the head. It's been obtained in with contact sports, and the results that they're finding is a fatal condition identified as chronic traumatic encephalopathy. Let's just refer to it as CTE, because that's what they refer to it as, CTE. The contact sports that they're talking about is football, hockey, skateboarding, baseball, soccer, and of course, boxing and MMA. Physicians now know that this brain disease happens to be the trigger that's tied to health issues that become apparent later in life. They manifest themselves into memory loss, balance and movement issues, poor impulse control, constant headaches, depression, and dementia. Some of these victims also suffer from quality of life robbing diseases that they've become. Some of these people have been suffered from this life-robbing disease. It's become so bad that they've taken their own lives. And the guy that they talk about that, of course, is former professional football player Junior Seau, who committed suicide last year by shooting himself in the chest with a shotgun. I mean, things got to be pretty bad for that. One of the bad, the good news is they've tied this together with these concussions, with CTE. The bad news is you can't find out if a patient has CTE until they perform an autopsy. And the last I knew, you're only performing autopsies, after you're gone. So that's something that they're hoping that they can work into and get ahead of the game. The American Academy of Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation estimates that there's between 1.6 and 3.8 million cases related to sports and recreational concussions that occur just in the United States. That's in the United States alone. And they also acknowledge that a true figure will never really be known because, number one, many concussions aren't diagnosed correctly. And number two, most of them aren't even reported. So, some people who sustain blows to the head, whether they are repetitive, like in a boxing match, or whether it's an isolated, like a one hit, they can't determine if that necessarily causes the CTE disease, because some people do get it and some do not from these studies. They're trying to find out, can there be anything done to protect these athletes who compete in contact sports, aside from making it non-contact anymore. A doctor by the name of Charles Bernack, who studies at the Cleveland Clinic's Lou Ruvo Center for Brain Health in Las Vegas, heads a study, professional fighters' brain health study, which is examining cumulative effects of repetitive concussion and subconcussive injuries to the brain of professional boxers and mixed martial arts fighters. It began in April of 2011, and Bernick's study focuses on three groups of people: active professional fighters, which includes boxers and MMA fighters, retired pro fighters that had a minimum of 10 fights each, and age and education matched control group, which is students, kids that are playing combat, I'm going to say, but contact primarily, because most schools have football and soccer and stuff like that. So they're testing those kids as well. Participants are being followed around for 4 years. The study is going to be a 4-year study, which incidentally the first group started in 2011, like I said. He says they're regularly undergoing brain MRI scans, computerized testing of function for speech and sample analysis, and they're having blood samples taken for genetic and protein testing. These participants are also being questioned regarding their moods and impulsivity, I should say, and their prior sports and medical histories. So far, 340 fighters are enrolled in the current study. And Dr. Bernick says that within the completion of the first 4-year study, he expects to have over 650 participants in that program. He says in a presentation that he did at the annual American Academy of Neurology meeting, he said he reported that there is a relationship between the number of fights and the decline in the volume of certain choroidal and subchoroidal structure, which in your brain, he says, is involved with the chronic traumatic experience. He says, in addition, we've found that the number of professional fights and knockouts are correlated with loss of fibers that course across the brain, as well as the connectivity between the areas of the brain as seen in an MRI. CTE is the underlying goal of his study. The information he has is only for the first year, but there seems to be a threshold where you see the damage in the brain. In professional fighters, it's after 5 years of fight. So what he's finding is that the damage that occurs, from the blows to the head are not showing up in any of these studies until 5 years later, which is pretty amazing if you think about it. And apparently the data is leaning towards confirmation that there's clearly a link between the blows to the head and the CTE disease. He says the truth of the matter is that the facts are that is a little bit, as of today, a little bit is known what actually causes CTE. They're just trying to find the connections. He says what is known is that not everyone who sustains blows to the head develops the disease. Now, it could be a genetic or related to drug use, but they can't make a definitive statement on whether or not it's connected 100%. Because here's what's happening: you got some of these participants that sustain a concussion or a blow to the head once. Are showing signs of CTE, where you take other participants that had a long boxing career. They in his report, he mentioned a former boxer who actually never fought pro, but he's 62 years old right now, and he fought a very lengthy amateur career. And his style was he would let fighters, his opponents, tire themselves out on him, and when they tired themselves out, he would go in for the kill, and he was very successful. And now he has trouble speaking. He can't hold a job because he all of a sudden loses his balance for no reason and falls over. And he's one of the participants that they've connected, with these blows to the head, repetitive blows to the head, to the CTE disease. But then there's other cases where former professional fighters have sustained multiple knockouts through their career. And basically, he's got some in the study that have losing records, double-digit losing records, and they show no signs of CTE. So there is some question marks. Here's the thing, and this is interesting: less than 10% of concussions that are defined as a concussion actually result in unconsciousness. So for the sport of boxing, there could be many, many fighters who sustain a concussion during a fight that they never lose their consciousness, they never get stopped, they never get knocked out, yet they sustain a concussion. And because they don't get knocked down or knocked out, they're not subjected to an MRI, which they believe that maybe if they started a system like that there could be data collected where you could see a pattern, which they're trying to find out now. Interesting stuff that they're able to make the statement that that sports-related concussions are clearly tied to brain disease. Incidentally, signs of a concussion, and there's a lot of them. And I know that professional sports, specifically football and even college football and high school football, all follow this. They've become very strict with brain injuries, especially with what happened with Junior Seau. But just so you know, if you're in the boxing business, if you're a trainer or something like that, these are signs of a concussion that you should keep an eye on your fighters, because if they display any of these, you should immediately let them get away from it, because they say that if you let someone heal, if they have a concussion and they heal, usually within a couple of weeks, they after being retested, they show no signs of having any long-term effect in most cases. So it's the repeated concussions that are triggering the CTE. But signs of a concussion, in case you don't know, the person that might get the concussion appears dazed or stunned, and they have a headache or pressure in their head. They describe it as that. The person would also be confused about an assignment or their position. If you're trying to show them something, they may have some nausea or vomiting. They might forget an instruction you just told them. They may have balance issues or some dizziness, unsure of a game or a score, or seeing double or blurry vision. very sensitive to light. If you shine a light in their eye, seems clumsy all of a sudden, answers questions slowly and seems to have some sensitivity to noise, loses consciousness, feeling hazy, foggy, or groggy, shows mood or behavior personality changes, concentration or memory it becomes an issue. Most of these people that do sustain a concussion can't recall the event prior to getting hit or falling or being hit with another sport, helmet to helmet or something like that. Asks you the same question over and over. So these are some things to keep an eye on. And, I'll tell you something. I for one, I know they were talking about professional football, trying to cut down the risks of concussions by doing away with the kickoffs, because that's kind of like a kamikaze. They call it the kamikaze positions, where you're just running full speed 100 yards down the field, and your goal is to just hit somebody. Here's the dilemma. Professional sports, professional athletes, just like Scotty was saying yesterday about Denis Ledebev, he chose to be a boxer. As long as he's fighting back and stuff, he should have the right to continue. And in football, you're going to want to tackle and go full source. That's how you make your living. I don't know if we could do away with things. I don't know if they should do away with kickoffs in like professional football, or suggest that professional boxing wear helmets or headgear, or make certain blows more illegal than others. But what could be done is police what goes on. We talk about commissions, good commissions, bad commissions. Why can't we have, and I'm not a guy that thinks that the national commission, that we should have a national commission. But I think that we should have one thing that's across the board, and I've been saying this for a long time, and I actually had said before this study came out, and if you go back and listen to the shows, and anybody that has listened to this knows my feeling on it, but I feel a simple solution to prevent head injury in the sport of boxing would be to require a fighter, before they get issued a federal ID from their home state, to undergo an MRI, not to so much see if they got a problem, but to have a normal, what we're going to claim and look upon as a normal brain scan that should be filed and kept on record. So down the road during that fighter's career, if he or she should get knocked out or sustain a long beating, and the commission does the right thing and says, hey, this fighter got knocked out, or this fighter, really took a beating in that last fight, let's order an MRI and have a specialist compare the two MRIs, the one that he or she took before they turned pro, and then the one after the sustained beating. It gives them more of a comparison scan, something that they don't have in place right now. What they do now is they'll do a scan, and then they'll see if anything's out of the ordinary based on what a normal scan should look like. But everybody's scan could be slightly different. A normal scan for you might be different than a normal scan for me. So by having an MRI on file with a commission, with a fighter, it gives the ability to the doctors to take an educated look and make a decision on if there is any damage and what to do about it. Let's be real. I don't want to see the rules and stuff changed in any sport, especially football or boxing, where they do away with a kickoff or something like that. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see headgear on a professional fighter. I don't want to see you not being allowed to hit a fighter in their head. But what I do want to see is safety for the fighters. There has to be a happy medium, and I still believe that my idea would work if they were given the chance. And I'll be the first to admit and spill the beans. When I talked to Tim Luckenbaugh of the ABC Boxing Commission and told him my idea, I documented my idea. He loved the idea. But he said the reason why it won't go in effect is because who pays for the scan? He says the burden shouldn't be on the promoter, because then the promoter's not going to want to do it, and we won't have the pool of fighters. And he says, and a lot of kids that want to turn pro in boxing don't have the resources to pay for a scan. My question is, is money going to keep the safety? Are you saying, it's like people that are poverty stricken? They're fat and out of shape and unhealthy because they can't afford to eat healthy. So in other words, you can only, if you're going to be healthy and live a long life, you better be able to afford to eat healthy food. Otherwise, you got to eat the garbage. Well, they're saying the same thing with health. If you can afford to be healthy in sport, well, then you will. If you can't, well, then, you know what? Good luck to you. And I think that's crazy. I think there has to be a way to figure it out. Whether you put the burden on the fighter, a young kid wants to become a football player or a baseball player. They have to get certain equipment. They could be poor, they could be poverty, and they find a way to get it. Maybe the promoter deducts it out of the purse, maybe sets up a deal where they fight 3 or 4 times and he deducts a little bit out of each purse. I don't know. But you know what? Rather than just say, no, forget it, we should look into it. Because, now that the technology is catching up and they're doing these studies, and the whole point of my discussion on the CTE issue is because they are looking into it, and they're going to find it. Just like I mentioned Tanya Norris, Terry Norris's gorgeous wife. She has been researching Parkinsonism. That, too, is a disease that they link to Parkinson. And what is it? It used to be called pugilistic dementia. It's what you hear fighters. She's pointed out. She was on this show. She pointed out. Now it can be treated with medication, like Terry Norris. Terry Norris, when he's on his medication, he's fine. She's reached out to fighters that she sees herself as showing signs of Parkinsonism. Leon Spinks, Tommy the Hitman Hearns, just to name 2 off the top of my head. And she says, like most fighters, they feel macho. They won't go to the doctor. They won't tell the doctor what symptoms they're experiencing. So this is a pretty deep problem. It starts with the victims themselves, and then it gets all up into the whole bureaucracy of it. So I think something has to be done, and we need to be safe because the alternative is not changing the rules. The alternative is to be safe and to protect the combatants. Keep the rules the same, protect them though. Don't close your eyes. Don't walk away. If a fighter's in a good fight, and he makes it through, and there's a ringside doctor or somebody from the commission that actually knows something, and they see it, they make a note, they put him on a temporary suspension, they order a head scan, they put him through it, they make sure everything's okay, and then they lift it. What's wrong with that? To me, I think that that's the answer, man. But anyway, we were talking earlier about Oleg Moskaev. I don't know how old he is, but I know he's in his 40s. He was in his late 30s when he returned to the ring for me over 10 years ago. So he's got to be in his late 40s. He will be fighting this weekend on Sunday against Jason Gavin, who, I'm really disappointed in Jason. Jason Gavin actually couldn't, he could have been a decent fighter, but his lack of training, his lack of dedication, and his lack of being smart, making decisions like this. If you look at his record, he's lost, his last 6 fights in a row by knockout. And, he just takes what they offer him. He's trying to get some money. And, fighters don't understand, especially young fighters, not that Jason is young, but fighters don't understand that, once you lose a certain amount of fights, your value just plummets and you're limited at where you can go. Jason Gavin, at this stage of the game, his only option is to go to Russia or Germany, and we all saw what they allowed happen to their own in Denis Ledebev. If I'm a fighter and I'm going to fight a guy that's known for knockout ability like an Oleg Moskaev, I'd be concerned about my health. And wondering if there's going to be someone there that's going to be looking out for me. They didn't look out for one of their own. How do I know they're going to look out for me? Stupid move by Jason Gavin, and I just can't believe it. This guy I thought was had at least a pea brain, but obviously he doesn't. But Oleg Moskaev, I don't know what he's thinking, but he's coming back this weekend. One other thing I wanted to mention, Juan Carlos Burgos extended his promotional deal with Thompson Boxing and Banner Promotions. He said, and I quote yesterday, "This is the best day of my life, re-signing with Thompson and Banner. I want to thank God in guiding me through this path and creating these opportunities for me. I want to thank both Thompson and Banner Promotions because they put all their chips into my career, showed great confidence in me, and my goal is to win a world title for me and for them. He says, once again, I want to thank them. I've already fought for the world title twice. The first time I lost, the second time I was robbed, and I'm hoping the third time's the charm. So congratulations to Juan Carlos Burgess. One other thing I will mention real quickly, tomorrow I'm going to get into the undercard for the Chad Dawson and Adonis Stevenson fight, which is taking place in June. Smoking card, man. A lot of good fights on that. But another WBF title is going to be at stake. The International Super Middleweight title is taking place in Switzerland on Saturday, and the undefeated Enes Zikarakic, he's from Bosnia, is going to be taking on Mikhail Kuzovsky for the vacant WBF International Super Middleweight title. That's taking place on Saturday. So WBF, I keep telling you guys, is a rising sanctioning body. And you add that to the Michael Grant World Heavyweight fight this weekend, and they are starting to rise. And I think with some of the division that you see with these other sanctioning bodies, that's going to explain why the WBF is moving in a positive direction.
Wake up. It's time for It's too early for a trivia question.
Dax Khan just informed me that Olag he's not that old at all. He's only 44. So geez, he's got another 5, 6, 10 years left in him. But anyway, today's It's Too Early for a Trivia Question. Question is being brought to us by Turning Stone Resort and Casino in Verona, New York, and their June 7th fight that they're going to have. It's going to be taking place on Showtime at the Turning Stone. It's during the International Boxing Hall of Fame induction weekend, so hopefully you guys will be there. I will be ringside. Get yourself some tickets right now by visiting www.BillyCBoxing.com and click the fight poster, which is on the right-hand side of the page. Can't miss it. Buy some tickets. Drop me an email, Billy@TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com. Tell me where you're sitting, and maybe we'll hook up. I might even let you buy me 4 or 5 scotches, man. I don't mind staggering around press row. It's cool. But anyway, today's It's Too Early for a Trivia Question, which is supplied to us by our very own trivia question guru, Henry Haskup, is one that you guys are not listening to the question. I keep getting all these answers, and a lot of them are wrong. Name the biggest group of brothers who each retired with more than 100 pro bouts each under their belt. Name the biggest group of brothers who retired with more than 100 pro bouts each under their belt. If you know this answer, email me, Billy@TalkinBoxing, TalkinBoxing.com. The big hint I gave you guys yesterday is there's 4 of them. There's 4 brothers. Good luck.
This day in boxing history.
And finally, this day in boxing history is being brought to us by Campanaro and Tomkovich. If you're looking for a lawyer, use the ones that keep my ass out of trouble. That is Campanaro and Tomkovich. Give them a call today, 845-221-4099. Let Campanaro and Tomkovich knock out your legal problem. And don't forget, I'm going to pick up the consultation fee. Call them today, 845-221-4099. On this day, May 23rd in 1915, Les Darcy wins the Australian World Middleweight title over Jeff Smith via a second-round disqualification. That took place in Sydney on this day, in May 23rd, 1915. Also, on this day, May 23rd, 1981, Wilfred Benitez knocks out Maurice Hope in the 12th round to win the WBC World Junior Middleweight title, and that took place in Las Vegas. Hey, man, that concludes our show for today. I do have one more thing to say. Make sure you tune in tomorrow morning, same bat time, same bat channel, the Fight Now channel. Call your local television provider and tell them you want the Fight Now channel added to your sports channel lineup. It's that simple. Pick up the phone and call. Only info can be found on their website, www.fightnow.com. See you all tomorrow. Ciao, baby.